Good morning. Here we are in the undercliff. You can stop following me. There we go. The undercliff of the south coast of the Isle of Wight, and I'm gonna go up this way. We're in St Lawrence, and the sea is over there to my right, over there. The inner cliff, big tall cliff, is inland, funnily enough, over there. This is the St Lawrence Undercliff Woodland Nature Reserve owned by the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, and I'm going to have a quick walk up out of the undercliff onto the farmland up above it, along its kind of northern edge. So the undercliff runs from Bonchurch in the east, we're walking east now, so Bonchurch over there ahead of us, to St Catherine's Point and Black Gang Chine to the west, which is behind us, logically enough. I can hear the wrens singing away. It's quite breezy actually. It's been a cracking first week of March. We're still in the first week of March. Don't know what date it is, but it's the weekend. That first weekend in March, I think. What a beautiful start to the day yet again. We had a little bit of a drizzle yesterday, Friday, which was good because I'd sown some seeds in the little garden I adopted at Bestie's. So that would have been washed in. There's a dunnock singing up there. What I'm going to do this morning is walk up this way and climb up the face of the inner cliff over there to my left. Excuse my cough, just getting over a nasty bug. So climb up the face of the inner cliff, out of the undercliff, check out that farmland, which is arable farmland and some areas of grassland and nice hedgerows. And that's an area where a couple of years ago we were preparing for a Cirl Bunting reintroduction, which now doesn't need to take place because Cirl Buntings are kind of re-colonised in the south coast of England from Devon. Whether the source population is actually Devon or the near continent, we will probably never know, but the point is they're now recolonising, so we don't need to do the reintroduction, but loads of work has been done by farmers in anticipation of a reintroduction, which means basically they're putting loads of really good habitat for Cirl Buntings. And there's a good prospect, I think, given Cirl Buntings have reached Purbeck, which is only a few tens of miles to the west. Don't know how many miles to the west it is, but it's tens of miles anyway. It's a good prospect of them actually colonising the island, probably within the next few years, and I just want to make sure, it being early March, they've not already colonised. So I'm going to check the farm up the top here, just to make sure there's no singing Cirl Buntings. They tend to break into song around about nowish in Devon, and it's been so lovely, the weather, and the weather today is looking promising because of the sun. Nice little camper van there. Might entice the old one to sing if there are any here. So obviously we're not going to see any Cirl Buntings, but you never know. Nobody else is checking, so. And there's plenty of yellowhammers up there. It's a real hot spot for yellowhammers, the Isle of Wight, particularly this southern bit on the chalk. The arable farmland and the chalk downs are really good for yellowhammer, although they've stopped breeding on Ventnor downs, I think, and are kind of contracted off of at least those areas of chalk grassland, and they're now restricted to the hedgerows on mixed arable and grass farmland in this part of the island. I think they still breed on kind of Arraton Down and those kind of areas, so the central chalk, and probably on Mottistone Down and Brook Down, those kind of areas in the west. But it's another area I ought to check for Cirl Bunting soon. And if you're a visiting birder, or if you're an island birder, do get out at this time of year, early in the morning, and see if you can hear any Cirl Buntings in areas where there are yellowhammers, basically. They don't compete with each other. They're quite ecologically different. Well, they're not really, they're very similar, but sufficiently different to live side by side without any problems. in terms of competitive exclusion or anything like that. So Cirl Buntings tend to like smaller fields. They need the arable in winter, or conventional wisdom tells us they need arable in winter. I'm a rewilder, so I don't really believe in conventional wisdom, but they are currently largely restricted to mixed farms with arable Cirl Buntings. Phew, I'm out of puff already. Right, we're now going up a slope and some steps in a minute, which takes us up along the face of this cliff. So we're lifting out now out of the undercliff. Let's take a breather. Definitely not as young and fit as I used to be. I was never that energetic, to be honest, although I did used to do a lot of running and an awful lot of walking. There's the cliff face. Used to be choughs all the way along here. A long, long time ago, 100 years ago. With any luck, they will return. Catch my breath back. Not even that old. Well, middle-aged. Oh, just old enough. Probably hear the woodpeckers down the undercliff, of which there are a gazillion. Green and great spotted. We don't get lesser spotted as far as I know. I've never had any in the undercliff. Same as we don't get tawny owls on the Isle of Wight, although I have had one in the undercliff. Probably can't hear that distant woodpecker. So there's the undercliff down there. Bit of farmland, pastoral sort of farmland. Excuse me. Let's go up this slope. It's a bit breezy, not so good. It's not too bad, to be honest. There's the sun. This is great, so I assume Natural England and the landowner have come along here and topped this off, which is really, really good because it was being invaded by holm oak seedlings. And they've come in and they've trimmed off all those holm oaks. This is triple SI chalk grassland. So they need to do this in order to keep it open. So really, really good job there by the farmer probably, and with support from Natural England. Delighted to see that. So what we have, so we're now in the area where we were preparing for Cirl Bunting reintroduction. And basically the farmers around here, via countryside stewardship, with advice from, there's a buzzard. I was going to say it was a red kite, but it's a buzzard. Yeah, the farmers are with advice from the AOMB team, now a National Landscape team, changed its name. How silly was that? And advice from Natural England and Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, including me at the time. So the farmers put in place loads of wintering habitats, so some spring barley and some, there's a yellowhammer singing, some bumblebird mixes. And I'm going to shut up now actually because I want to hear a Cirl bunting if it's singing. Now I've just heard a yellowhammer. Obviously there won't be one. Here's some goldfinches. Here a yellowhammer. There's a lovely male yellowhammer on top of the tree just ahead. Little gang of buntings over there. 3 more yellowhammers. So if I was a Cirl bunting, I would be in, probably not in with the yellowhammers particularly, but certainly in the same habitat, just along here. The yellowhammer just dropped down, coming into this hedge here. So there's 3 different yellowhammers singing. There's some finches and buntings along there. Nice male yellowhammer along there. So I'm going to phone the farmer, I think, later. See if I can get permission to walk through some of this arable, see if I can find any Cirl buntings and count the yellowhammers as well. Because the farmer's created some really good wintering habitat here. It's been a mild winter relatively, but I bet they've been really loving this stubble. That's a cracking yellowhammer along there. Skylarks have been singing as well. Don't think the microphone will have picked those up, but I just walk down this little lane a little way. So what the farmer has been doing here for Cirl buntings specifically is thickening up the hedgerows and managing them on a longer rotation. So you've got all the fruits in the winter for the wintering redwings and fieldfares and that kind of stuff. But you've also got the shrubby bases to the hedgerows, and beyond the shrubby base, which is where the yellowhammers and Cirl buntings would have their nests, where the Cirl bunting's a bit higher, I think, and the yellowhammer's a bit lower. I think that's true. But anyway, they nest in the hedgerows and the shrubby bits. But then extending out from the base of the hedges, you've got these lovely wide, grassy, tussocky grassy margins, which will be absolutely full of grasshoppers, which is one of the main diet features. Well, it is the main kind of chick food resource that the Cirl buntings are feeding to their chicks, yellowhammers are not as specialised as Cirl Buntings. Cirl Buntings really do specialise on eating yellowhammers. No, on grasshoppers. So that juxtaposition we got here of basically thick hedgerow with a shrubby base extending out into a grassy margin full of grasshoppers, and then spring barley in this case, which then becomes a weedy stubble. That's just what Cirl Buntings need. And hopefully if they recolonise, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do so soon, now they're in Purbeck, if they recolonise, then we can encourage more farmers to do more of this kind of really brilliant stuff for Cirl Buntings, but it also benefits every other farmland bird basically. You've got the hedgerows for nesting in for quite a few species, you've got the grassy field margins which are really good for those species and another group of species, things like, grey partridge like the margins. And then you've got the spring cropping of cereals, which is really good for skylarks and grey partridges, and obviously leads in to weedy stubbles in winter, which is what your seed-eating birds, your linnets and your yellowhammers and Cirl Buntings, and then you've got the turtle doves coming back in spring. So as long as these fields aren't ploughed too quickly and they remain in place for when what's that over there? Another lovely male yellowhammer. There's a lot of yellowhammers in this part of the south of the Isle of Wight. Yeah, the turtle doves reappear in spring on their migration. If there are still these stubble fields, at least some, then that's what they're going to use. They're going to, because they're obligate seed eaters, they only eat seeds, turtle doves. They're obviously a migrant, and when they return on from their spring migration, they're knackered, they need food, they need seed, and they're going to be getting the seed from these kind of stubble fields and from fallows, summer fallows, those kind of habitats. So as long as the fields aren't too depleted, as long as there's still plenty of seed in there, that is a lovely yellowhammer up there. Probably hear it. There's another one further along. Yeah, so the turtle doves will feed up, scoff all the seeds, get back into condition, build up the fat reserves, so then they can, well, the female can then go on to produce a clutch of eggs. There's a group of linnets over there with one yellowhammer with them. And another yellowhammer. Alright, I'm just scanning along that kind of wood edge, shrubby wood edge. Another yellowhammer. Yeah, I'm going to turn back now. So, no Cirl Buntings. No obvious Cirl Buntings anyway, they're never that obvious. Going to phone the farmer, see if I can walk through the stubble fields, see if I can kick up any wintering groups of finches or buntings, more to the point. And you never know, I think within the next 3, 4, 5 years maybe, there's a really good chance that Cirl Buntings will recolonise if they've not already started to do so. You know, they've been in Purbeck for 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit longer now. So you never know, they may already be here. Probably not, but you never know. Like I say, nobody's looking. Let's drop back down into the undercliff and see if we can hear those green woodpeckers. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, which is all about a bit of birding and a lot of wildlife friendly farming and rewilding videos, that kind of stuff, and nature writing as well. I'm writing books and self-publishing books on natural history, so I'll be or I do create videos around that kind of subject. So if you want some, they're not really tutorials, I will be uploading some tutorials soon, but yeah, if you want to learn how I go about self-publishing my own books, then this is the channel to subscribe to. And I'll try to remember to put a playlist at the end of this video which features a lot of other videos of this kind of nature, wandering around birding on the Isle of Wight, and also some rewilding videos and that kind of stuff. It's quite interesting times at the moment. So Monday this week, just gone, the government in England, UK government, finally has allowed beavers, European beavers, to be formally reintroduced to southern England, or to England. So there's now a licensing regime, so you can now apply for a license, and if you've got all your ducks in a row, so to speak, all your beaver cubs in a row, you is that what they're called, cubs? I don't know. Which means proper consultation with the local communities, proper ecological assessments of likely benefits of beavers, and you've worked out how you're going to manage the situation if they misbehave, and beavers can misbehave from some people's perspectives. So if you've got a prized tree along your bit of riverbank and beavers come along and try to eat your tree, then there are things you can do to discourage them or stop them from doing that, so they can misbehave. So the licensing authority, DEFRA, or Natural England it is actually, will require proponents who want to reintroduce beavers to demonstrate that they've put in place a kind of a management scheme, I'll call it. I don't know what the formal terminology is, but a kind of a regime whereby if the beaver population is cared for, basically, and the local community is cared for, local farmers and kind of riparian landowners, they're all looked after, their needs are taken into account, so that if beavers do anything they're not supposed to do, which they can do, then the situation is managed to prevent any problems. So the licensing authority, Natural England, will expect to see all of that properly documented, how that's going to play out, and if everything's fit and proper and worked out and designed and planned, then they'll issue a licence for releasing beavers into the wild, and they've already done it in Purbeck. That's the first ever formal kind of reintroduction of beavers in England, was undertaken by the brilliant National Trust. Well done, National Trust. Right, we're now dropping down into the undercliff again, the way we came. What a cracking morning. Let's go and see if we can hear those woodpeckers. Right, we are now back down in the undercliff proper. It has to be undeniably the best place to go birding on the south coast of England. It's absolutely superb. If you want a family holiday, if you're a birder, you want a family holiday, and you live somewhere in southern England, London or Oxford or wherever it might be, you don't have to travel too far to do some really good pioneering birding, and you could do a lot worse than coming to the south coast of the Isle of Wight. What you have here is loads and loads of self-catering accommodation and B&Bs, the odd campsite, loads of lovely secluded beaches along the undercliff, and some busier towns, well, Ventnor, and little villages like Knighton and St Lawrence. We're in St Lawrence at the moment, and some really cracking and varied bird habitat. It's mainly this kind of fairly wooded habitat down in the undercliff. There's a strip of pastoral type farmland along the inner sea cliff down there, right above the sea, which is good for your open habitat species, your wheatears and hoopoes and whatever else. Then you've got this narrow band of woodland and well-wooded gardens just inland of that, which is where all your willow warblers and chiffchaffs and that sort of stuff gets into. Then you've got the farmland up the top, which is full of finches and buntings and larks, and what a cracking place. You haven't got much fresh water, you've got plenty of little streams and willow beds and small ponds, all of which are good for wintering chiffchaffs, and a lot of the migrants, the migrant philosks, the willow warblers and chiffchaffs, all pile into those little withy beds, so you get high concentrations of them. So yeah, come to the Isle of Wight. Obviously beyond the undercliff, if you stayed for your holiday, your family holiday, in the undercliff, it's a great position to be in, because then you can go along the military road, or you can go to St Catherine's Point, which is a 10-minute drive away, down into the military road, which is open farmland. Much more open, much less cover, much easier to find birds. Carry on to the fabulous chalk grassland, Brook Down and Mottistone Down. Then you can swing along to the Needles headland, which is like a chalk grassland version of Portland, but less cover and much, much nicer. Gets loads and loads of birds, migrant birds up there, just like Portland does. Then that end of the island you've got Yarmouth Estuary, or the Yar Estuary, and you've got Newtown, which is where all the white-tailed eagles hang out, or sometimes they hang out there. They're usually around that area. So if you want to see white-tailed eagle, go to places like Newtown and the Solent shoreline, or you can go round to Brading Marsh in the east of the island, which is also where white-tailed eagles hang out, and it's a fabulous wetland. There's a woodpecker behind me hammering, might be able to hear that. Going to go up this way a bit, where there's a cluster of woodpecker trees. Can't hear them from here, maybe they've quietened down a bit. Check what the time is. It's now 7:30 in the morning. Those lovely hazel catkins. Still not had a singing chiffchaff yet this spring. In the south coast of the island, they've had chiffchaffs. Trouble is there's quite a few wintering here as well. Be nice to get at least a singing chiffchaff. Also be nice to get a singing willow warbler. It's been willow warblers inland, only ones or twos. It's up there. Nice coal tit. Might draw a blank on the woodpeckers here today, this morning. They're normally in these trees. Oh, one great spot has just flown up there. Not doing any of their hammering though. There he goes. Just one up into the canopy there. There's a sea over there just through the canopy of the trees. We're about 400 metres from the sea. There's a great spotted woodpecker just up there. Good bit of territory marking going on there. Lovely robin. There's the inner cliff face with invading holm oaks. Right, what I'm going to do, I think, is head back to Ventnor Bay and get a coffee. So I hope you're enjoying this video about Ventnor and the Undercliff. If so, then don't forget there are 2 books that I've written. One, Bird Watching Around Ventnor, creatively named, and the second one is Wildlife Watching Around Ventnor. Just short books about the local area that are the subject of this video. Available on Amazon. I'll put a link below for this video, and you can also order it from the library, and it's available in all major bookshops, both of these little booklets, and in a few shops along the Esplanade, like the Longshoremen's Museum and Lady Scarlett's Tea Room as well. But yeah, I'll put a link to the description if you want a slightly deeper dive into the Isle of Wight Undercliff. Then these 2 little booklets might be of interest to you. Just go onto Amazon otherwise and just search for Steve Jones and Ventnor, and you should find them.